This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrak. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, Exo Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of the BTL postgame show with myself and Matthew Pangrak. We are going to talk about what went down at Lake Champlain over the past few days. Dude, this show is jam-packed tonight, Matt.
It is like the live wells of every angler at Lake Champlain over the last 4 days. Jam-packed. Insane weights. Bryan Schmitt goes 21-11, 21-5, 19-4. And then 16-1.
Yeah.
And we're going to have him on right here momentarily to talk about how it went down.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty crazy day. Did you?
Oh yeah.
I watched a lot of the live
Yeah.
and listened to all the interviews. And I was convinced at any point there were about 8 guys that I was like, oh, well, he's got it now.
It was very, very entertaining. And we said we had a jam-packed show. We're going to talk to Bryan here in just like 60 seconds. Then we're going to have Keith Combs on.
Okay.
The man that finished second
Oh,
for a few
well,
minutes.
we always know why we got Keith Combs on in the post-game show, Mark. He
Why
was
is
catching
that?
him on a walking bait.
He
a
was.
topwater bait, the
And a
big
jerk
smallmouth.
bait. And a jerk bait, too.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to have Keith on, and then we're going to have a surprise guest after Keith that we don't want to mention right now.
Listen, here's the deal. I hang out with a lot of guys, like some of my best friends, I would say, in the industry, some of my best friends ever. I talk to, Brad Hallman, Kurt Dove, known them for forever, and
Yeah.
they call him Schmitty. They're Schmitty's buddies, like good buddies.
Yeah.
And I don't know Bryan Schmitt that well, just based on what we've interviewed here, but I have heard so many stories from both Hallman and Kurt Dove who hold this guy in like high regards,
Yeah.
both on and off the water. But I mean, absolutely amazed at his talent level on the water. I'm
Yeah.
not like sucking up to Schmitt here. That's what these guys say. This is after, 3 or 4 beers hanging out, and they're like, oh, let me tell you how good Schmitt is. And
Yeah.
then goes into the stories. So I called up the Birdman, Kurt Dove, and said, dude, will you come on, kind of put into perspective for 10 minutes to our viewers into the mind of Bryan Schmitt. So we're going to talk to the Birdman after. Actually, he got a shout out on the show today because Schmidt's still using a scale from like 1991. It looked like,
Nice.
like one of the original ones. Kurt Dove gave it to him. It's his lucky scale.
Well, we were going to try and get Kurt on when we had Bryan
Surprise
on,
guest,
but
yeah.
we couldn't get it worked out from a technology standpoint. All right, so let's do this. Let's bring him in now. Bryan, you there, man?
Yes, sir.
Hey, congratulations, man. Fantastic job over 4 days, and you got one of the blue trophies, man.
I'm absolutely in shock still. I, as you guys know, I didn't exactly put it away today.
Well, we're
And,
going to get into that because I think the last 30 minutes was pretty intense for you, wasn't it, Bryan?
It was very intense. Very, very. And even the crazy thing is, man, like, I didn't think that was the deal. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, maybe that'll get me fit. Because everybody is catching 20 pounds, 19 pounds.
Yeah.
So, I was doing the math of like, that probably has me at 15 and a half. There's no way that's, so whatever. We got it done, man. But I literally drove straight here to St. Louis, just got to the house. And we got to flip the script and start catching smallmouth again.
I know.
That shouldn't be a problem based on what you did. But here, so behind the scenes, for those who are listening who don't know at the Elite Series, they try to keep the anglers away, like, what do you got? So there's like that genuine moment on stage. But you guys kind of start chatting behind. You kind of talk to your, what do you got? You hear things, Like, when did you, I mean, you legitimately went up on stage there thinking, there's no way I'm going to win this tournament. It wasn't like, oh, no one really caught him that good. Like, you were, like you said, top 5 all the way up until they put your fish on the scales, right?
So literally, I heard you guys say you got Keith coming on. You have to tell Keith that I said thanks for giving me a heart attack, because I'm talking to a couple guys back there, and I kind of knew what everybody had except Keith and Fighter, because nobody's ever gonna go higher than what they have,
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody says they got 19, that means 20. 18 means 19. So I was doing all the math, and I'm like, I'm really worried about Keith. And Keith's like, straight poker face back there. And I'm like, Keith, man, what do you have, man? He's like, Bryan, I got like 18-4. I said, are you sure, Keith? I said, if you got 19 or heavy 19s, you got it. He's like, no way I got that. And then he weighed like 19 and a half.
Yeah, 19.3.
And my heart was racing. Because I weighed mine right before I put him in the bag. I said, I want to know what I think I got. And my scale said 16.1. But I'm like, dude, what if I rushed it? What if it ain't right? And then it said 16.1 on their scale. I was like, oh my God.
Whoa, wait a second here. So you use a lucky scale that Kurt Dove gave you how many years ago?
Dude, that was the Mississippi River. I think that's 17 or 18.
So 5-6 years ago, it's got the J hook on it, and it's got no fancy features, correct?
Stop it, dude.
No,
it's a good luck scale.
No, what I'm saying is you turn it on, and it just tells you the weight, right? There's no, like, culling and all that stuff in it.
No.
And all these guys are a pound and a half off with the ones that got 19 buttons and look like a computer. And Schmitty's scale just turns on and off, and he hit his number dead on.
If my scale with the coal clip, like if you weigh all my fish with the coal clips, it's almost dead nuts.
Wow. It's a good scale.
That is.
So that was a big time learning deal right there, man. But I tried my hardest to give this tournament away.
All right.
I lost 3 big smallmouth today.
I saw one of those.
But it was a weird deal.
Yeah.
Because my hook point was bent over, and it took me 3 fish to realize that.
Wow.
And that is very, very disappointing. In my opinion, that's not how you win a tournament. Like, you can't do stupid stuff like that.
I love you, Bryan.
That's John Cruz, Derek Hudnall, and Ed Lockern.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, man. I want you to comment on a quote that you had. And I can't remember if it was when you were on stage or when you were going through some of the stuff that you were going through on the water. But your quote was, and I quote, "Everything I had was gone." Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, yeah. So I felt like I really used everything I had to the last drop going into day 4. Day 3 was the final. Whatever was left on any place I had, they were no longer left for largemouth. Okay, and I knew I needed to go smallmouth fishing on day 4 to win it, and I just could not get it going, and I finally get it going, and I lose a couple, and it just is spinning, and then I go to a largemouth spot, and I break one off, and I felt like it was a big one, and it's just not going. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to win this, And then I just stayed with it. But that's what I meant by that. Like, I had used everything up. With that live scope, man, I mean, I hate to say it, but there's no more guessing.
All right. Give the fans a descriptive kind of narration of what.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
We got you.
Give you a description of what?
That last fish, was there like 10 minutes to go that you called that you ended up winning the tournament because of that call?
So, running back in, the whole way across the lake as you're getting beat up with boat waves, you're scrolling in, scrolling out. What can I fish? What can I fish if I have a couple minutes? And there's a buoy, I mean, literally right outside takeoff. There's a green buoy. And I said, well, that's as good a spot as any. And I pull up, and as I got to within 90 foot, I saw two bass sitting on the chain to the buoy. And I threw a spin bait in there, and they didn't even react, man. And I'm like, that's not good, And I threw the drop shot in there, let it sit. And the funny thing is, they come live to me as soon as I threw the drop shot in. And I'm like talking to them, and then I get a bite, and I set the hook, and I'm like, it's not a bass. I thought it was a perch. I'm like, it's not a bass. And then it's like, I'm like, oh, this is a bass. And I couldn't see it never jump. But I was like, man, it feels pretty big. And I fought it, and then I could see it. And I'm like, dude, we need that fish. And I got it in. It was a 310, and it got rid of like a 213. So that fish was, without that fish, I don't win.
Wow. Did you also say Brian New and Austin Felix hooked you up with some stuff before that New was eliminated? And then, I mean, you were competing against Felix today.
So, yes, that's 100%. So, we're really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And bottom line is, Austin felt like, he was able to share a deal with me because, look, he felt like I think he was 5 pounds back. He's like, man, I just like to move up a little bit, but you got a shot to win. You need to tie on a spy bait, and I tied on a spin bait, from Spro.
Mm-hmm.
And, told me what to look for, and Brian actually got on the same deal. So it was like I had the confidence in that because two guys were doing it for smallmouth. And that gave me the confidence at 1 o'clock or at 2 o'clock to go run that deal. And I got two fish doing it. One was a 3-pounder that got rid of a 2.8, and one was a 310 that got rid of a 213.
Wow.
At 2 o'clock, man, I mean, it's over. You just left. You're 20 miles from anywhere you've caught a bass all week, and I just ran like a maniac, and I got very lucky.
Wow.
What you don't understand, folks, is Schmitt just had an epic sponsor plug there because remember who just walked in? John Cruz. He gets John Cruz signature series Spro spin bait. Yeah. In the end, that was well played, Mr. Schmitt.
But it was the truth, though.
I know. It was just awesome how John Cruz walks in, and then Schmidt's like, secret bait. John Cruz's spy bait.
Yeah. All right.
I already told Cruz.
There you have it. All right, Brian. One thing that I noticed, and I noticed a lot of stuff during the time that I watched over the past 4 days, but this is kind of something that a few people have mentioned, but your culling efficiency is unbelievable. The system that you have and the way that you do all your culling, especially when you have an event like this at Champlain where ounces means everything, I think a lot of people out there need to take some lessons on the video footage that was showed on your culling efficiency. Is that just something? Yes. Is that just something over time, or are you just flying by the seat of your pants?
It's probably over time, man. But you gotta remember, I'm a charter boat guy, and I've handled a lot of fish. And you get the fish on hook, get the line back in the water mentality, and that's carried over to here. And exactly what you said, when you're dealing with a lake like this, where you're going to get some numbers, man, you say 20, 30 minutes culling a day, that can add up.
Yeah.
I don't play.
It was really impressive, man. It really was.
Yeah, I try not to waste any time doing that, man.
All right. A couple more questions, and then we'll let you go because I know you got to get to bed and get ready for practice.
It starts tomorrow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Practice starts tomorrow. Biggest factor that when you thought about that from the drive from Champlain to the SLR, what do you think the biggest factor was for you to be victorious?
The biggest factor, to be honest with you, is the amount of time I've had up there. I mean, I've gone up there twice for, 3 or 4 days at a time with no tournament and just really learn the place. And to have, with that being said, to have just so many options, man, to know I can let stuff rest because I have this whole other area over here. And that's a big deal for me, man. Just the amount of places I have confidence in there.
All right. Matt, final question.
How do you feel about the SLR? We do the back-to-backs, and I always used to say it has to be incredibly tough. I mean, you've got a dozen wins under your belt between everything that you've won. So, I mean, it's not like it's your first one where you're probably just going to go out and get blitzed in Waddington tonight. But that being said, like, how do you transition from what just happened and the intensity of what went on today to focus for the next 3 days? Because you're right on the classic bubble.
So I think exactly what you said, man. Like, thank goodness I've had some success before. The way I look at it is we're going to celebrate this in a week. And right now we're halfway through our job. So, man, I'll be honest, I'm going to put it to bed. When I laid down tonight, it's St. Lawrence. How can I make the weekend on St. Lawrence? So, I mean, to be honest with you, it's not going to be that difficult. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of calls and texts, and I appreciate all that, but I got a job to do now. You know what I mean? But the good news is it's not going to take me long to rig up because I'm going to have 2 drop shots of Ned in the Carolina rig.
There you have it. There you have it.
Jeffrey's favorite lure, Brian. You just made his day. We got a guy on who caught him on a Zara spook next, and you just mentioned that you're planning on using the Carolina rig. We could end the show right now, and he'd be a happy man.
That's impressive. Very impressive. Hey, Brian, man, thank you so much for taking time out. I know it's a very, very long day for you. We wish you the best this week at the SLR, but, man, it was really, really fun to watch what you did this past week at Champlain.
Look, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you big time for having me.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, my friend.
All right, take care. There you have it, Bryan Schmitt.
I love the way those guys talk out there. Kurt Dove does it. Pete Glusick does it. Just the way that they have it, He hooks that fish and he'd be like, man, I'd really like to put my hands on this one. You know what I mean?
Did you see the video? Did you watch the video that I played during his interview? Yeah. How calm and cool.
That's what he said. That's what he said when he hooked it. He goes, it comes up and he goes, man, I'd really like to I'd really like to lay in this one.
Well, he did, and he's got $100,000 that he's going to deposit in his bank account.
I do that Open Pros Pick'em deal.
How'd you do?
With Andrew. Horrible. I had Scott Martin.
He was in the 80s, wasn't he?
I'm calling for him to retire after. And I'm just kidding.
He was in in the 80s, wasn't he?
But I had Scott Martin, and I had Jamie Hartman, and I had Paul Mueller, and they all finished well below 60th. But anyway, all of those guys who know Schmitt personally were like, dude, this is a no-brainer. And they all picked like 74 to 78 pounds to win and Bryan Schmitt to win the tournament. Like, it nailed it. You know how hard that is to do? On a place where like all the fish are the same size, that you could pick the guy who consistently catches them better than everyone else?
Yeah, very difficult, though. And it's unfortunate with the back-to-back events. The guy that wins the first one a lot of times kind of gets somewhat lost, especially with the SLR being the final event of the year. You've got the Classic Burst, the Angler of the Year, all this other stuff. But, dude, I'm telling you, that was impressive.
And it
what
doesn't,
that dude did
like
at
I said, this
Champlain.
is not like a career maker for Bryan Schmitt. He's already made a career. I mean, the guy, like you said, has won more Toyota Series than anyone else. 6. He has a FLW Tour win on the Mississippi River. He's won at pretty much every level. Yes, this was something that he wanted to check off his list for sure. He mentioned that on stage with Mercer, but it's not like a career, in my opinion at least. And I'm saying that as a positive because of his dozen-plus wins.
Well,
Blue
Blue Trophy's nice, man.
Right, but it's not one of those deals where it'd be like, oh, we forgot Bryan Schmitt won one. It's like another check mark.
He's still got work to do, though. Just like what you said about making
like
the
he's kind of catching them, and like Hallman's like, man, I don't know why Schmidt's sucking, and it's like, well, he's not, and they're like, no, it's Bryan Schmitt, he doesn't suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
all right.
And so now he just won it, and he was supposed to win it.
Well, let's see if we can get our next guest on the phone here.
I'll just be quiet and let you guys talk about the finer points of walking topwaters.
That sounds really weird.
Should have gotten Keith Combs' cameraman on. You know how hard that is to focus on a Strike King sexy dog going across the surface for that long?
It's not working. You know, and the thing that we were concerned about was the whole Canadian thing.
Yeah.
We actually talked about that.
It goes to Telso.
Yeah. So he was going to try and work it out to where we were going to be able to communicate via the U.S. lines, not the Canada cell phone lines. So we'll keep working on that. And then following, hopefully, Keith, we're going to talk to Kurt Dove. All right. Real quick, I do want to mention this. The post-game show, the reason that we do this thing on Sunday nights is simply because of the sponsorship of one company that's been a part of BTL for a long time. That is the Bass Tank. If you haven't heard of the Bass Tank, you need to check out what they have to offer. They have become the leader when it comes to marine electronics, the installs, the technical support, very, very good prices on whatever brand that you're looking for. And John and his group do a fantastic job. So the post-game show, commercial-free, because of what the Bass Tank does for BTL and for what the Bass Tank can do for all the fans out there. So if you don't know about it, make sure you check it out at thebasstank.com.
It is basically, in layman's terms, everyone's like, well, what is the Bass Tank? You have a boat. You want to put electronics on your boat. You don't know how to put the electronics on personally, or you just want to make sure that it's done right or not have to take it to a dealership or anything. You can call up the Bass Tank, say, here's what I want. I want to mount like this, or I only crappie fish, or I only bass fish, or this, and they'll say, okay, here's what you need: brackets, mounting, wiring, harnesses, setup, anything. And then you can take it to them. They're actually just built new stuff right there, right by 44. What town is that? Right when you get on the
Sand
highway.
Springs?
I don't know. One of those out there. But they've got all these bays. They got like Darren and all these guys who are amazing at it. You drop it off and it comes back right, which is big because, you're spending like tens of thousands of dollars on your stuff. So.
All right, I'm going to try one more time. So a big shout out to the Bass Tank.
Yeah,
John
check them out.
group.
And then also they catch fish too. Like Zeke's like one of the best crappie fishermen in the world, and John Stukup's won like $130,000 this year.
Uh-oh. We may have something here.
Oh, it actually started ringing?
Yeah.
It wasn't ringing before.
We're trying.
This is the one place that's acceptable to not answer because it is very spotty.
All right. Well, we tried, and we'll keep trying. Hey, here, man, I wanna get your thoughts on a couple things here. All the action that I watched over the past 4 days, here are some of the things that I wrote down. Just some notes. Austin Felix and his 115 miles of stuff that he was fishing each day. Did you know that?
Yeah, he said he was covering a long way.
Yeah.
Did you think I was crazy that he would hook Schmitt up on a lake that everyone was so tight going into the final day?
Weren't they rooming together? I think they're roommates.
Or share information? Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of cool, though. Marker buoys being such a huge factor.
That's just Great Lakes up north in general. Anything.
No,
like
I agree.
Any vertical deal with smallmouth and clear water.
Yeah. Ticonderoga not coming into play at all.
I did not really hear that mentioned.
Nothing.
Everyone wanted to talk about the smallmouth and then go into the inland sea to catch largemouth.
Yeah. And then, obviously, in that marina, along with...
and he was caught him in there in past years, too.
Yeah, that was right by the takeoff.
Oh, I don't know which one. I just know he's a marina dude on that.
It was right by the takeoff.
So,
and him and... Who was the other guy?
Destin, Demarion?
Summerall.
Oh, Summerall?
Yeah.
Demarion was in a marina, too, I believe.
Yeah. But that marina that was right by the takeoff was money. Here's the other thing. One of the biggest factors of the entire week was the difference between catching and landing. How many fish did I see over the 4 days get lost right at the boat, close to the boat? The way that they have to scoop and score is what I call it, the smallmouth. It's just, it was amazing to see the work that these guys did when it came to either catching, but more importantly, landing.
And along those lines, it was a really weird tournament as far as, so up north you have guys who catch them, always catch them, and there were some absolute tanks in this event from guys who I don't ever remember tanking that bad up north. Now, you did have guys who were supposed to do well that did well. Schmitt, he was going to catch him. Zaldane, Fighter, Felix, Demarion. But then you also had like Lee Livesey and Caleb Summerall that were in the top 10 there. But then, Polinick had a decent tournament. Obviously, probably not up to his standard. But there weren't like a bunch of guys that finished in the middle that were Northern All-Stars. Yeah. But you go to the bottom and you've got Bernie Schultz, who's like saved his season every single year up there, and he finished in 92nd. Scott Martin in 87th, and he's won tour events there before.
He was in the 80s. Right.
Cliff Perch in 76th, Jamie Hartman in 73rd, Paul Mueller in 71st. I mean, any of those guys were supposed to be in the top 10. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I agree.
So it was like haves and have-nots for the favorites going into it.
I agree. Now, I want to ask the fans something. We have a lot of people watching out there tonight. I'm going to see who gets this question correctly. What's that?
Oh, I got some intel.
Oh, well, hang on a second.
Okay.
Let me ask this question, and
okay,
we'll go to the intel. Fans, who do you think received the most television time on the Fox broadcast during the final day?
The most television time on the Fox broadcast?
I just kind of marked it down a little bit.
You stopwatched it?
Not stopwatched it.
I would obviously, I mean, the easy answer there is Chris.
Well, I want to see what the fans have to say.
Oh, and Seth.
Seth didn't get a whole lot. By the way, man, he pretty much locked it up. It's done, over, finished.
I mean, is he slowly becoming the best guy on tour who doesn't have a regular season blue trophy?
Might be. It's coming. It's going to happen.
And
could happen next week.
He will go nuts when it does happen.
Yeah.
But while you ponder that question, who got the most TV time?
Yeah, you have intel.
Our friend Dave Mercer, who knows a thing or two about what went down at that event since he was there.
Just a little bit. Yes.
He said 3 boats went to Ticonderoga the first and second day. I'm sure they said that on the live broadcast. I just didn't watch every single second of it. I will give Zona props too, though. As soon as Schmitt caught that last fish, Zona said this dude's won a lot and caught a lot of fish, and that might be the most important call he's ever made in his life.
Yeah.
And he was right.
He was right. Here's something else. For a guy that has that much experience on that body of water, here's another quote from Schmitt. and I quote, "I have to find something fresh." How many times on the final day when you're in the thick of things and winning a blue trophy that you're going to say that?
Yeah, and it's weird because there's so many fish on that lake. It's not. Here's why I think it would be frustrating for a guy like Schmitt who thought he was running out of fish, right?
Yeah.
So let's use Grand Lake for an example. You get to day 4 of an event. There are a finite number of spots that you think you can roll up and jack them in. Now, who knows? There might be more that you don't ever know about, but you're like, these are the areas that it goes down in. Would you not say?
Yeah.
And this is
I
the
agree.
cast, and this is how it goes on. And if it doesn't bite, you go, oh, it just wasn't meant to be. Well, you get on a place like Champlain, and you know that it's going down somewhere, and that there's an 18 to 20 pound bag very readily available. Would you not agree, Mark?
Yeah.
So that's got to be even more frustrating when you're struggling because A, you know that everyone else isn't struggling, and B, you know that it's like, not that the bite window's closed or not that you've caught all your fish. Like there's a gazillion of them down there in that 3.5 to 4 pound range. You talking to Keith?
Yeah, he just texted me.
What did he say?
He said my phone service is really
That's
really
good.
sketchy.
We can get him on.
So I'm just answering back. I said, "Hey, we'll have you on after the SLR." So we're not going to have Keith Combs on. We will have him on following the SLR.
He even gave Kurt his nickname or did he sign in like that?
He did.
He signed in as a Birdman?
Yes.
I've been trying. So Kurt Dove, like I said, Bryan Schmitt's buddy, longtime buddy out there. I've been trying to, he fishes the pro circuit. I've been trying to get him to do the signature, refer to himself as a Birdman because his last name's Dove. And every time he catches one, he goes, and he just won't do it.
That's kind of over the top there.
I mean, we've got
Matthew.
the pow and we've got the llama. Why can't we have the...
What is that called?
That's
what would
a
that be
dove.
called?
That's a morning dove.
I know that's a dove, but
A call.
what is that? A call? A dove call?
What sound does a morning dove make?
Just pull it up there on the old interweb. It's got all the answers.
Oh, they make multiple sounds, including a soft cuckoo followed by 3 louder coos when they're taking off or landing. Oh, there you go. At takeoff. 3 loud coos and a
Cuckoos.
softer when you come off pad.
Cuckoos.
Morning dove. Oh, their wings make noise. Oh,
Okay.
you ever heard them when they go when they fly
No,
past you?
no.
That's to
No.
startle predators.
No, I just hear roosters. That's all I hear around here. Not anymore, though. They're gone. Anyway, let me throw this out there. We're going to go to Birdman here just in a few moments. But we're going to take some phone calls right here on the Sunline Hotline after we have the Birdman on and get your thoughts on what went down at Lake Champlain and also get your thoughts on the SLR. Might be a physical event. Matt, did you look at the weather forecast at all?
Yeah, that is one event that is very weather dependent. I would not be surprised if A, they either cancel the day or B, keep the guys in the river. Knowing those guys and who's in that field, I think I would be shocked if we see 4 days.
The weather forecast is kind of sketchy.
I just know that there's like 3 or 4 guys that would not be happy if they confined them to the river in any type. And they're like the 3 or 4 guys that will let you know because they're Canadians.
We're going to see. We're going to see what
They're
happens.
hockey players. They're former hockey players. They're not afraid of confrontation. What do you mean we can't
Yeah.
go out into the lake? You're going to keep
Hey.
us in this river?
Hey, by the way, folks, yes, Chris Zaldain did get a lot of TV time today. Well deserved, though.
He's good on camera. And he throws a swim bait.
he was in the thick of things until he lost that like 4-pounder.
We need to do a new TV show called Can Chris Catch 'Em? And all it is
on the final day.
No. Gee, that was cold. You're getting a call from Trait. All it is.
You're bringing it up.
No, I'm giving him a good idea.
Okay.
It's Chris Zaldain traveling around the country with assorted varieties of mag drafts and seeing what he can catch on it because he catches them everywhere on it.
Well, it's kind of cool.
Can Chris catch him?
Yeah.
Today, we'll see if Chris can catch a red-eared sunfish out of Havasu on a mag draft.
That was a crushing blow when he lost the 4-pounder. That just snap.
Wow, and then you just went straight for the jugular.
Is it true?
I would say, yeah, Zaldain too is God, those trophies have evaded. I mean, so many opportunities to be.
I got a bottle of champagne waiting on him.
Oh yeah, you still do.
Yeah. There was no disrespect intended.
No,
It's
that's what
just-
he needs to do at
Yeah.
takeoff. And then when he comes off
Cuckoos?
pad, he's
hey,
out. He's out.
He is fun to watch. Fun to watch.
Chris or
Yeah,
Seth?
Chris. And Seth.
Those guys are getting good on live.
It's
They are good
it's
on
fun to
live.
watch,
They've been
man.
good on live, but it's just cool to see. Like, I mean, would you not agree? Like, Lee Livesey has done so much good for his, like,
Yeah.
now they're calling him not the sheriff. What's Mercer calling him now?
I don't remember.
They might be calling him the sheriff. or
Maybe he'll
something
text
like
you.
that.
He'll text you. He'll let you know.
Caleb
Get the
Summerall.
Yeah.
Caleb
you're right.
Summerall is in the top 10 in the Angler of the Year race.
Is that with the drops? Did
This
we get
is-
that figured
This is
out?
without the drops on the Angler of the Year race. The anglers have it. It's not on the computer.
That's
it'll
for
be
the
on the
classic.
computer
then.
after, yeah.
That's for the classic, correct? Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's go to our next guest. For those that are joining us, we were going to have Keith Combs on. His cell phone service is horrible, so we will have Keith on after the week following the SLR.
So you guys get Bryan Schmitt's friend. No, I'm just
what?
Let's go. I wanted to have Kurt on, like I said, because he
Yeah.
knows Schmitty, and Schmitty's a unique individual
All right, well, let's bring him in.
that I can't
wanna
explain
know.
because if I tell some of the stories, it's like third-hand friendship stories.
I'm
So
sure
we
he's
said,
got
let's
some-
go straight to the horse's mouth and
Yeah.
talk with Kurt Dove.
All right. Kurt, how you doing, man?
Door number 2. Not good door 1. You got bazooied or whammied or whatever it was. Good to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Birdman. Thanks for being part of the post-game show.
All right, dude. I wanted to have you on as a guy who knows Bryan Schmitt. On a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised are you that he won a tournament on Lake Champlain?
0.
Exactly.
Zero
Yeah.
surprised. I had him picked in my fantasy fishing this week. So, of course, I did really well with Brian on my team, except for my other, we could get into the fantasy thing, but I'll let you steer the conversation. But I had Brian number 1 on my fantasy team, and he won the tournament. I was not surprised at all for several reasons.
You guys go back how far? Like years, right?
No, really not that many years. We come from the same area,
Right.
that Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. I grew up fishing kind of on the Potomac before Brian really started making his name and his push. Then, some people know I moved to Texas, moved to Lake Amistad in 2008. And that was when Brian really started getting that regional limelight started. And we were actually introduced through a mutual friend, and that's how our relationship started. We started talking to one another when Brian was fishing the FLW Tour, and I was fishing the Elite Series at the time. And then as we both were fishing the FLW Tour, we became roommates, and it was like, brother from another mother kind of deal. And we just kicked it off and clicked really well and have a very strong relationship, a great friendship.
In your opinion, what is it that makes him special? The 6 Toyota Series wins, now the Elite Series win, 12 wins over there. I mean, I've heard some of the stories, but just try to describe why he wins so much.
Well, he wins so much because, especially early in his career, because he was extremely focused on what he was great at. And you brought it up before on BTL. He has, I think you mentioned it a couple months ago. I think the stat was 0 top 10 finishes if it's not a grass lake. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's like 44. He's not, and not all of it has been strictly grass related, but there's never been like a top 10 on a lake, like a Grand Lake or a Table Rock, like no top 10s on anything like that.
Right.
Always lakes that have grass.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first years we were rooming together on the FLW Tour, we went to Lake Cumberland, non-grass lake, obviously.
No grass.
No grass. And we were catching some fish on jerk baits. Our other roommate, Billy Sheldon, of course, Brad Holman, we were all rooming together. And we were catching some fish on jerk baits. It was an early pre-spawn style event. Obviously, Cumberland. It's got some largemouth, but lots of smallmouth over there. And dude did not have a jerkbait in the boat. I'm not even sure he owned a bait that contained a treble hook on it, period.
Really?
So that's the really interesting thing about Bryan is growing up in that Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area. We have a lot of vegetation there, obviously the upper Chesapeake, Potomac River, James River, and that's literally, he didn't go anywhere but those places for the most part for a long time in his career, through maybe 4 of those EverStart, Costa, now Toyota Division, style wins that he had. Then he went up, obviously won an Open on Champlain, flipping a jig, but still grass-oriented stuff. And the key to him is, well, I like to throw it back to the Denny Brower days, right? All Denny did was flip docks, flip trees. It was a half-ounce, jig and a pork chunk and whatever kind of pork chunk you put on it. And when Denny dominated, that's what he did. If he went to Florida or he went, to some lakes that you couldn't have, or it was very difficult to have a successful event throwing a jig, he just didn't do that well, and he was trying to survive in a lot of those cases. I think he adapted, obviously, throughout his career, winning on football jigs and some things like that. I remember Arkansas River event, he won on a football jig. Obviously, he won Lake Champlain event before. But I see what Denny did in his career and how he evolved from flipping a jig to eventually doing some other things. You'll even catch him with a spinning rod at like Amistad every once in a while nowadays. But but that's kind of where I see Bryan. He came from. But what's superior about both of those guys is that mentally super strong and strategically really had plans that made sense for them. Bryan's strategy going into events is fairly systematic. It's not just, well, I'm going to launch the boat and kind of dial up the seasonal behavior patterns and then kind of work that. He actually typically runs the lake the first day of practice. When I say runs, like, dude will run a tank of gas the practice day. Like, doesn't make many casts, but he's looking for something that fits his style, that fits his mojo. Something that looks environmentally sound that's going to hold bass. And he's really good at identifying areas to be successful in. And that's the first thing that makes, Bryan who he is and why he's won, 6 Toyota events and an Open and an FLW Tour and now an Elite Series event. So it wasn't surprising me that it came down this week, but it's interesting to watch him evolve as an angler. He's got treble hook baits in his boat now on a regular basis, but literally, just he's focused on what works for him. And I'm not sure. Well, he had a spinning rod too when I met him, but the only thing he would ever throw was soft plastic stick bait. That was like his big thing, Nico,
wow.
That kind of stuff. But it's interesting to see him evolve, but continue to not stray from his strengths. To continue to hold his strengths, but now try to, work other things into his repertoire so that he doesn't have those bombs and things like that. Mm-hmm. So he's become a more consistent angler, but yet still able to capitalize when it's in his wheelhouse.
All right, let me ask you this, Birdman. The emotion that he shows on the water, both good and bad.
Right.
This is one of the most calm, cool, and collected dudes that I've seen on the water. I mean, you look at the video on Bassmaster where he made that final call that actually got him the win, and it was so just cool. Like, yeah, man.
Really like to have this one.
Really like to have this one. What can you tell us and the fans? Because, a lot of people are out there like, man, it would be high-fiving, screaming at the camera, doing all
this
kinds
coming
of stuff.
from the guy who got kicked out of a Gunnersville restaurant because he couldn't substitute for a baked potato.
I was very emotional.
Answer the question, Birdman.
What's up with him on that?
That is his personality. He very rarely. I've seen him get ruffled once or twice in all the years that I've been associated with him. But that's just his personality. He takes it calm, cool, collected, everything, and he's detail oriented and generally in what he does. And he knows if you overrush a fish in that situation, that's the worst thing you can do. All he needs to do is just take his time, catch that fish as if he had caught the last 100 the exact same way. Because I think most anglers, where they get in trouble, and I've done this myself, is you act differently and you get rushed and you get excited. And he knew. I heard Davey Height several times today think that Bryan was putting on a poker face and that, he thought he was really still going to catch him today. And I could tell that, and I only text Bryan. I talked to him after day 3. And, I could tell that he was, I don't want to say concerned, but knew he had to do something else to win this event besides what had got him to those 20-plus pound stringers the first couple of days. And, it worked out, and in a lot of different ways it works out. He mentioned Bryan New on stage. He mentioned Austin Felix on stage. And it's crazy. Like, all this stuff happens for a reason. He wouldn't have even been staying with Austin and Bryan this week if they hadn't changed the event from Burlington over to Plattsburgh several months ago. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of those silly things, and you hear it all the time. When it's your time, it's your time. It was Bryan's time to handle that blue trophy today, and I'm so happy for him. I do have to say, Bryan knew. I've seen a couple questions in the AOI in the comments mix here about Angler of the Year and what was going on with the tournament drops. And Matt, I heard you mention it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of shifting going on in this Bass AOI, and there's a lot of movement within the organization of who will be back next year and who won't be, based on requalifications, the rookies getting their second year automatically. And Bryan Schmitt knew that it was important for him to have 2 good events here. Mm-hmm. This tournament, Bryan went to pre-practice. I think it was back in May or early June, whenever it was before their off-limits period. And he told me he was going to Champlain, and I know that we all know how well he does on grass fisheries and Champlain in particular. And so knowing that he went there to pre-practice, and I heard his excitement on the phone driving home after his pre-practice, like, man, I found some more stuff. I'm excited. And all that.
See,
dude, he's got this. He's going to do really well in this tournament. To win is to win. It's a whole different deal, but I knew that he was going to do really well this tournament.
All right, Matt, Birdman, I want to ask you both this question. Birdman, you go first. For the casual fan, and for a limited amount of knowledge that they may have about Lake Champlain, all they might hear is, oh, it's got a ton of fish in it. All you got to do is go out there and throw something this big and get a spinning rod and reel, and you'll go out and you'll catch smallmouth. Easy. What people don't understand is this body of water, even though it's got a ton of fish, is one of the most challenging lakes. And here's how I'm going to prove it. And then I want your thoughts on this. When the dude that wins the tournament says that he's out of everything and has nothing left and needs something fresh, what does that tell the casual fan, Kurt?
Well, that tells the casual fan that adjustments on the water throughout a tournament, specifically in competition days, are very difficult to do. He was focused on hard spots in grass, catching largemouth. That was his bread and butter. When you have 3 days of practice, that's what you're looking for. That's what you're mentally focused on. To find a few smallmouth areas and rely on some of his past experience there, catching a few smallmouth, that doesn't mean that he knows that he can just cruise to these areas and catch fish, because they're moving all the time. Look at Chris, right? Chris was on an undoubtedly lot of smallmouth there in the mouth of Missisquoi area. Yeah. And dude vanished. And all it took was a little wind direction change, it seems like. push the bait around, all of a sudden the fish are gone. So when you've got guys on a body of water that seems like 17 pounds is running the mill, but 20 pounds is, hero status, and 15 pounds is like, what lake were you on today? When you find that method of the madness, it is difficult to change in competition. I mean, it is probably one of the most difficult things to do, and they talked about it a little bit on live today and yesterday, and they mentioned about, when you get kind of dialed into something and you're riding that horse, generally you just keep riding it and you keep whooping it and you hope it goes across the finish line first.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to do, especially on a lake like Champlain. It's probably the hardest to do because of the numbers of fish that are out there. And somebody is going to keep catching that 18, 19, 20-pound bag. And if you come in with 15, 16 pounds, not a very good day. Bryan knew that. Bryan was very surprised he won today.
Yeah. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I think it's Schmitt understanding how Lake Champlain fishes and knowing that when he had the opportunity to catch 21.11 on day 1 and 21.5 on day 2, that it would allow him to have a 16-pound, 1-ounce effort on day 4. I mean, we talk about it like he snuck in there. No, he put himself in that position by catching 2 of the biggest bags of the tournament the first 2 days when he was able to catch them, and he knew that he had leaned on those fish because he knew how Champlain fishes. But I think he knew exactly what was going to happen. Now, did he think there was a possibility he could go out and catch another 22 pounds? Absolutely. But I think in the back of his head, he was going, I need as much weight as I can when I can get it, because he knew how much of a difference 21.11 and 21.5 would give him at the end of the day. When Keith Combs comes in with 19.13 and Fighter comes in with 19.5, it would give him that wiggle room that he needed to lift the trophy. It was calculated.
And it saved him that he leaned on fish early in the tournament. A lot of guys would have got to 20 pounds and thought, dude, 20's great. I'm out. And he would go ahead and make that extra pound and a half call. And that's why he won this event. I always see hear about guys in events like, I'm going to lay off them. Man, take the Zaldane thing today. I've seen it in my experiences. Matt, I'm sure you've seen it in yours. When you're out there fishing and you can catch them like at will, you better catch as many as you can and call as much as you can and get the best weight possible, because you do not know what's going to happen the next day.
Absolutely. That is
good stuff.
That is Kurt Dove. So for those of you who don't know, when I go to Amistad every single year, this is the Birdman Kurt Dove's Pro Bass Camp. Just hit the 10-year mark. Now, he just did 3 weeks, back-to-back weeks in Amistad. They just wrapped up a week in New York with how many? 28 kids?
Yeah, we had 22 campers up in New York. Had a great event. Lots of smallmouth. Camper won 3 fish with 11.24.
They have a tournament where they give away scholarship money at the end. Now, I'm going to ask you this week. After 3 weeks of this, that's basically Rain Your Life all summer. Is there going to be year 11?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
So probasscamp.com.
That's correct.
If you have a kid who's ate up with fishing, his ages 13, 14, all the way up through in high school, basically.
General guidelines are 12 to 18 years old, but there's always some fluctuation in that based on what the parents want to do.
It's not like a learn to fish camp. It's like Kurt Dove played basketball, like I played hockey. You go to the elite stick handling camp. You go to the elite basketball camp. It's for kids who love it. And Kurt was like, dude, why don't we have this for fishing? Now they do. I've done it for a ton of years. Like he mentions Denny Brower, Matt Reed, Keith Combs has jumped in and done it. A bunch of different pro anglers. Keith Poche, Cliff Crochet. I mean, it's got a lot of
Matt Reed, can't throw. Yeah, if we name one, we got to name them all, Matt.
Anyway, so if you have a kid, you're watching this, listen to this, have a kid who wants to go to it, it is 100% worth it. It's like 3 days of fishing and then a tournament with scholarship money. Kirk gets a lot of good giveaways, and the dates will be coming out for next year once the dates for the tournaments, because Kurt Dove fishes a pro circuit, come out for that. Also, he got a big win. He's the man behind Hayabusa hooks, and Schmitt uses Hayabusa hooks, so he's now got an Elite Series win there. So congratulations on that.
Yep, I appreciate it. And when he won that FLW Tour event, he used Hayabusa as well several years ago. And Casey Scanlon won on Champlain a couple years ago using Hayabusa down in Thai. I think the Thai thing is interesting. I want to throw this out there. For anybody that fishes up north a lot, they can probably back this up now. But being in Texas and Virginia and watching all the Champlain stuff, it seems like Thai is a non-player on low water. And if the water's high, tide, it's a constant thing. So there's a big tip for any tourney anglers headed up to Champlain in the next several years. If the water's high and tide, you better go get some greenbacks. But if it's low, you better stay up north.
And if you want to hear more of Kurt Dove and his partner, his co-host, Aaron Martin, without the S, Aaron Martin, you can catch them over on Bass Edge Radio. You guys do a lot more tips, tactics, this is what's going on type of stuff than the whatever it is that Jeffries and I do.
Yeah, absolutely. we do not do a whole lot of tournament, hashing out kind of stuff or, industry stuff a whole lot. We talk about a few of those things, but it's primarily based on fishing tips and education from anglers that are hot, anglers that are catching them. And, Matt Airy is on the current episode that's live right now after his great classic. We wanted to talk to Matt about high water fishing because he did so well. And then actually an episode coming up and go live in a couple of days will be Justin Kerr. And Kerr talks about fishing with the rat. So
very nice. We got to get him on, by the way. I promised at 1 a.m. at Billy Bob's after the final day of the Classic, I promised the contingent of West Coast anglers who bought me a Coors Light and a shot of Fireball that I would get Justin Kerr on BTL.
Yeah, I talked to him in the media room, too.
Yeah, and they're following up going, dude, we bought you a beer and we still haven't heard Justin Kerr on BTL.
Got him on Bass Edge Radio. He's a great interview. I'd love to see him on BTL. Brings tons of knowledge. Dude is just a straight bassin freak.
Just like Schmitt.
Yeah, he used to work at. I learned a lot about Kerr when I interviewed him, and grew up and worked at RoboWorm for many years as well. So,
hey, real quick, I want to tell. This is a super quick story, but do you remember that house that we stayed at the Oneida event? It was the white 2-story that had the haunted basement in it. I seriously thought that house was haunted. Do you remember that? Were you with us then?
I don't think Matt was there.
The farmhouse?
No.
With the attic that was sealed off?
No, this was right on the shores.
No, I stayed with one. Did we stay with Ken Broder?
Yeah,
he was there. Yeah. He was there.
Yeah,
was that when I went out and you were catching him on a popar? Was I media observing with you that tournament?
It's possible. It's possible. I'm getting old, and that was a long time ago.
I think it was the first.
That was like 07, maybe.
Yeah.
No, that was Smith Mountain. Maybe.
That was the most scared, or let's just say concerned about a house that we were staying in. Dude, it creaked, and you heard these noises. Yeah, it was an old kind of
white farmhouse. It was on the river. White farmhouse on the river next to an old boatyard.
It was creepy, man. It was haunted.
Did you see Steve Kennedy went on a ghost tour?
No.
With his whole family around the Champlain area.
Get him on the show. I want to hear about that.
We could probably and hear about the ghost. He said it was very educational and more of a history tour than a ghost tour.
I want to hear about it. All right, we'll try. All right, Birdman, man. Great job. Thanks for the
insight. Good luck the rest of the season. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I need that. I hope to come back next time because I'm actually catching bass.
All right, cool. Come on back, man. We want you to come back.
I will.
You got to do that. Can we get a dove call to send us out? You can work on it, but that's a great start.
I'm not as good as you. You thought about it a lot more.
Well, he used to be the nature boy. All right. Anyway, Kurt, man, be careful, dude.
Peace out, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, see you. All right, there you have.
He
Kurt
actually
Dove.
Goes on the road for 2 months. Goes out east, does that, does all the northern swings, the whole 9 yards. So just a little bit more.
And I'm not sure. He's still on. He could shake his head, yes or no. He had some big-time DC job at one time. Is he shaking his head?
He was corporate.
Now he's laughing. He's laughing at me. He did. He had some
We could
government
I'll talk to you.
big-time
We
White
talk
House
about
job or something.
Talk about that off air, Mark.
All right, here.
Hear the helicopters coming over. More Oklahoma.
Ooh.
Trey's the feed just goes dead.
All right. Once again, we are commercial free due to the fine folks at the Bass Tank. Make sure you check it out. thebasstank.com.
They also, if you screw your electronics up, because I've had a tendency to do that before, you can bring it in and they'll fix it and they'll make it work again.
He knows.
I mean, they'll charge you.
He knows. Well,
not like
that's what they do.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
That's what they do. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines here for
There's
a few minutes.
There's a lot of people who jack stuff up, and then they're like, oh, my gosh. What do I do? Where does this cable go?
Yeah. All right. The Sunlight Hotline number is up on the screen right now, 405-253.
Mercer call in.
5543. Dave, if you want to call in, give us your take on Champlain and the SLR. We would love to hear from you.
He is an expert on both of them. I mean, he's up there.
He's right in the middle of it, man.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to hear from Dave if you're not too tired. It's been a long 4 days, 4+ days. And then...
he's got a driver.
Oh, he has
gets
a
in
driver?
the back of the Lincoln Town car, and his driver says, Mr. Mercer, where to? He said, St. Lawrence River.
You think anybody ever showed up to the launch in a limo?
Mercer has a driver, and his team takes care of all
I'm
the
talking
arrangements.
about actually fishing a tournament and show up in a limo. Boat launched.
There's 3 guys that could do it. There's 3 guys that could do it.
Dave Smith? You think Dave Smith ever
Dave
did
Smith is one of them. I think BJ Hasiotis would be another one of them. And the third one's Duckett.
No, that's not Duckett style.
I'm just saying that could.
He could. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot
the
more
rest of
people
them would have
out
been like,
that
there
could.
goes the winnings for the last 2 years.
That would be rather interesting, though.
That would be pretty cocky.
All right, you ready to go to the phones here? Let's go to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
Hey, it's Ryan Levine.
Oh, what's up, Ryan Levine?
how are you, man?
This is not the Bass Nation champion, Ryan Levine.
No.
Although still an avid
Ryan.
angler.
I just wanted to kind of have a shout out and say how impressed I was with all the fans at Plattsburgh today. I've been to many events, and this was definitely probably one of the best turnouts ever. And
Did you go?
I did.
Really?
Yeah. In the comments there, I said it was Seth Fighter's stash is definitely more impressive up close and personal.
Is he gaining? I mean, you're in the crowd, you're watching. Is he gaining kind of rock star cult status amongst the fans?
Yeah, you could definitely hear the clapping was a little bit more elevated.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, you win AOI, you're going to have more fans.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was definitely a good time. Lots of people there. Also, I don't know if you have ever had any of the ABA guys on, but shout out to one of my friends, Ryan Lattenville, who got first place on the Thousand Islands. Cool win there. But,
Yeah. How much did he have? Because I think Travis Manson fished it, and he said he had a disappointing 23.5 pounds.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I don't even know. I didn't even see the number, but he did well, him and his friend there.
Heck yeah. Hit us up when we do another one. We did like a, not amateur week, but like weekend week.
Yeah. Yeah. The weekend guys,
Awesome.
where we
Awesome.
focus on the weekend guys. That's cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for answering the call, and I appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
See ya. Yeah, that crowd for a number of years that we went up there and covered that out of Plattsburgh. Crowds.
Yeah,
really,
dude,
really
Champlain's
good.
awesome.
Yeah. It's my favorite lake. It
I
really
only heard
is, man.
I think Menendez had a post about the Loch Ness Monster, and that was, or Nessie, not the Loch Ness Monster. That's in a different country. But
Woo.
typically there's a lot more talk about the Lake Champlain Monster.
Hey, do we have anything we can give away?
How
How about a BTL hat?
I got to pay for those.
No. I got one. I got an extra one I can give away.
Do we have any left? Oh, you have an extra one?
I have an extra one.
Yeah. Will you mail
Right?
it?
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
horrible
put it
about mailing things.
I'll put it in. Just give me the address from the fan. So
Well, how about they just send it to you?
Yeah. Absolutely, that'll work.
Take out the middleman here.
Yeah, it's a good way of doing it. All right, let's go back to the phones. Will you keep a list? You got a piece of paper?
Oh, no, I don't.
Here. Yeah, here you go. You got a pen?
Yeah.
All right.
It's purple, and it has the little, what is that thing for the pocket protector?
Yeah, don't be breaking
what is that
off.
Called? A stem?
I don't know.
What is that called on the back of the pen?
Pen clip?
Yeah, it's not broken off yet.
Yeah, don't be doing that.
I break them off. That's my nervous tick.
Yeah, don't be doing that.
So that was Ryan.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
I've talked for 4 days, and I've got nothing better to do but chat with weird BTL viewers because I'm one of them. And somehow I got suckered into doing a podcast that I never would have agreed to under other circumstances.
Congratulations. You just won a BTL hat. You're the lucky caller of the night. What's your name, and what state are you calling from?
My name is Dave, and I'm calling from the state of confusion.
All right, dude. Obviously, Dave Mercer. In case you don't recognize the voice,
yeah,
Elite Series MC, and you're an expert. You're a Thousand Islands and Lake Champlain expert, 100%.
Yeah.
I sure.
Okay.
Well,
now we've established that. So I don't know how long you've been listening, but one of the things we were talking about, and Jeffrey's brought it up and talked about, was Schmidt's like cool, calm demeanor.
Yeah.
Kurt talked to me, said he's only seen him ruffle once. I mean, dude, you talk to the guy, look in his eyes every single morning, talk to him after the stage. What is your impression on his personality, and does he have ice in his veins?
It's so funny that this has become a big story because I swear to you, like literally earlier this week, I was explaining my theory on Schmitt. Like I told Schmitt, I'm like, you're one of the best people on earth, but I almost never have time to talk to you socially because when you talk to Bryan Schmitt, I mean, he takes you to another time. It's like all of a sudden it's the 1930s. Nobody has cell phones.
The Great Gatsby.
Everything exactly. It's, you'll say like those conversations you have at events where you're just kind of walking past the truck. Me and Panger, we've had 100 of them where it's like, "Hey, good morning, how you doing?" And you just keep walking. With Schmitt, you're just like, "Hey, Brian, how are you?" And he's like, "Well."
But that's it, dude.
I'm good.
That's that section of the country.
Yeah.
That's like their deal. But he doesn't get rattled, I don't think.
No, he really has and I'm starting to think, guys, if you were making weird science, like if you were creating the perfect tournament angler, is that maybe one of the most important characteristics? Like you really think about it, of the mega powers that have ever won in this sport, the really only exception to the rule is Mike Iaconelli. Like, if you look at it, it doesn't matter. You look at all the anglers that have had long-term success. They have that ice in their veins. They have that calm ability. But Bryan Schmitt, somebody hit him with a trank dart at some point in his life, and it's never totally worn off. I mean, he's kind of half Jim Carrey. Oh.
He just lethal with it. All right. Dude, What the heck happened to Scott Martin? Did you get a chance to talk to him? 87th place. I'm not picking on him just because he was on my fantasy team, but Scott Martin
you are.
has. I firmly
You're picking on him.
I firmly thought that Scott Martin would be in the mix to win this tournament. And this is his wheelhouse, his time of the year. He likes to fish offshore. The fish were done spawning. He's won on Champlain before. It's one of his favorite lakes in the country. And he finished 87th.
I totally agree with you, Panger. I mean, the two people that I picked going into this, and I mean, I don't want to sound like that guy, but it was Bryan Schmitt and Scott Martin. I mean, and they're not hard picks. If you look at their track record, I mean, who has a better track record outside of maybe Seth Feider's Elite Series track record on Champlain? Because I think this was his worst finish this time around. I felt like Scott Martin was shell shocked. Like even after day one, after 16 pounds, he weighed in on day one, and I was like, it's real easy for 18, 19 to become 16. You know what I mean? On a few things go wrong. I totally expected Scott Martin to rally that day and come in with a big bag. But
that's what I did.
I don't
thought
know
he'd have 21.
Wrong, but yeah. I don't know what went wrong, and I don't know if he does, but it felt like nothing went right for him this week. It just nightmare.
All right,
really.
my kind of last important question to you. We're going back to
Hey, before you leave that, Panger,
yeah.
How stupid was my question on stage? Like, his daughter comes up, who is probably, let's be honest, I mean, going to be all of our bosses one day. I mean, probably more successful than Roland and Scott combined. So he brings his daughter up, who has a large social media following. I mean, a really nice girl. And for whatever reason, I don't pre-think of things, obviously. And I said, why did your dad not catch him this week? And I knew. I could ask a lot of other nice things, but sometimes it comes out of your mouth, and I just move the hole that makes the word. Sometimes it works, and a lot of times it doesn't. But she gave me like the death stare. Like for the first time, she's got this cute little thing, and all of a sudden,
slashed your tires on your rented Miata.
Wow.
That is the competitive side of the Martins. You do not cross them. I mean, you can.
Oh,
they can joke about each other.
Now I'm regretting questioning what happened to Scott. I'm going to be cyberbullied now, Dave.
A lot.
All right, so so we're going to.
Sorry, where were you at?
No, we're going to a place that enjoys craft beer and drinking during weigh-ins and huge gatherings of people, and they've been cooped up. And you got a guy who likes to hang out and have a good time, who's pretty much a lock for the Angler of the Year. He said in the article that I read that just went up on Bassmaster, he's probably not going to go more than 30 miles away because of catastrophic failure is the only way he doesn't win Angler of the Year. Patrick Walters tried to make a run at him. Seth still somehow managed to gain points on him. I mean, dude, he can almost feel the Angler of the Year trophy in his hands. Is that going to be a pretty epic celebration when that goes down, like a coronation ceremony for Seth Feider? Or is there any chance that he is not the one lifting it 7 days from now or 6 days from now, depending on how the rest of the field does?
I mean, there's always a chance. Literally. I mean, but really, he's got to, I mean, he has to have a train wreck. It has to be one of those epic wheels fall off. And if the points were a few less, I'd be like, things can happen. But I mean, he really has to have the wheels fall off. It's got to be really bad. I mean, and just the way he's fishing this year, guys. I mean, I don't see it happening, but I mean, that's also. I remember saying these exact same things about Edwin Evers one year going into the final event, on Lake St. Clair. The lead wasn't quite as big, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a messy party. I mean, Seth Feider is, it's going to, I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. And I will say this, he's really, these last few events, and Seth's a guy who I hang out with a lot. Mm-hmm. There's certain guys you hang out with more. And Seth, I mean, we have dinner quite often, and he's been really kind of calm and mellow. Like, if there is a business Seth, a strapped down Seth, we have definitely seen that. And I've seen him more nervous the first day of this tournament than I've maybe ever seen. But I think when it's official and that giant weight that has been on his shoulders is finally relieved, it's going to be awesome. If you are anywhere near, you need to be there.
He's way more fine-tuned, dialed in, and cares about what's going on, his stuff, and is way more knowledgeable than he wants people to know he is, correct?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I mean, he has, if you just watch him prepare tackle, he really, that's when you really see what Seth Feider is. You know what I mean? From the outside, it's real easy to be like, I fly by the seat of my pants. But you watch him, I mean, he will spend an incredible amount of time tying an FG knot. And they all do, but it's just the amount of precision. And like, he is a real weirdo that way, where he is super dialed in that way. But I think that, I guess it really stood out for me at the Classic, how much, because he's so good at kind of hiding the pressure and acting, like he doesn't care. You know what I mean? Some people, it really, you can see, but with him, you really get the vibe that whatever happens. He's just rolling through life. But when we talked to, when I first saw him at the Classic and I saw kind of how free he was, and I was like, man, you're good, you're feeling good or whatever. And he's like, man, I just feel like I get to fish a tournament this week. I get to just go try catch the 5 biggest bass every day. I don't have to game plan. I don't have to think. And that's, I guess, what really proved me just how much pressure it is. I mean, and we see it every year with every angler, but I mean, I think it's just with Seth, it's really easy to hide, but it's a lot of pressure, man. And all the weeks in between events where there is no fishing and you're just on podcasts and you're just answering questions, it builds, it mounts. And I mean, this is by far the biggest thing that could ever happen to Seth Feider's career. And I think a coming out party like you would not believe, and no better place to have it in Waddington. And as like you said, we are wide open and we are allowed to have crowds. It is going to be ridiculous. Absolute debauchery. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I have a question. Do you think that from the field perspective that there are a lot of guys out there that have to perform this week to, let's just say, keep their tour card? In other words, they're
headed back to the Opens.
They've got to go out and catch them. And yeah, I know the story is Seth Feider going to win Angler of the Year, but I think the second big story is
done.
Who's in and who's out. Am I wrong, Dave?
It's huge. I'll be honest, guys. This week, I mean, sure, I'm looking forward to it. It's an exciting week. But it's also the hardest week of the year for me. And it hasn't been that way for a few years. We haven't done cuts. But there's people crossing the state, so you'll never see fish an Elite Series event again. And there's people, that decision's already been made, I'm assuming. And there's other people, that still mathematically can save their careers. And it's an evil, fickle thing about our sport that I hate, but it's a sport. You know what I mean? That's what happens. And this one just seems so much worse. It's the locker room scene where people of the team that lost. Mm-hmm. This one just hurts more because they're our friends. They're people we know, and it's an evil, tough game. But if you want to keep growing in it, if it's truly going to be the elite, that's what makes it that.
Yeah.
Which is why Mercer's job is hard, because he's got to be in the locker room of the losers and be genuinely sympathetic while at the same time celebrating the winners. And there's not many people who simultaneously have to be aware of a guy who's going through the most crushing defeat of his life in the end of his career and a guy who just won the Angler of the Year at the height of his career, all within 5 minutes span.
I was trying to remember, what was the guy that he was always in the losing locker room of the World Series? He was the guy.
Jim Nance?
Was it Jim Nance? I don't think it was Jim Nance. Dave, do you remember? But that dude, that was his job.
You saw him
being
after Game 7. He was the Grim Reaper.
That was bad.
Oh.
Bad. All right.
That would be horrible. You'd see him before the game, and you'd be like, I really just hope I don't see you at all.
I know. All right.
Hey, but guys, think about this.
What's
Here's
that?
a positive spin. Listen to this ray of light. How fitting is it for these guys with all this pressure? Put a positive light on it. They don't have to look any further than the guy that may just be getting ready to win Angler of the Year. That is a dude it's a fabled story in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I remember he was the first dude that me and Overstreet ran into in coverage. And I remember saying to Overstreet, I literally remember the moment where I looked, I was like, this week we get to find out if Seth Feider's for real or not. Because he was on the brink of being eliminated. His career, hadn't gone well up until that point.
That's a good point.
But kind of my theory has always been, if you don't catch him at home, you probably aren't going to stick around very long. I mean, you've got to catch him at home. Well, we go to La Crosse. He obviously gets the second there, then goes on to the Angler of the Year championship, won that, and literally has not caught them since that day. So that's the other thing about this sport, man. You can turn it around which amazes me. Like, how could Seth Feider go from being a guy that was about to be eliminated from the sport to what he's done the last number of years? It's incredible.
Yeah, a lot of work, man. A lot of work on his part. He's really, really got his game.
You always can go back and look, and I'm doing it now. I mean, you look at anything not in the North for Seth Feider over the first couple years, and you're dealing with finishes of 94th, 68th, 99th, 65th, 73rd, 61st, 85th, 87th, 75th. And I mean, it's just like, and this year he hasn't finished below 29th.
Yeah.
And really hasn't for a long. When was the last time 2000, the first tournament of the year last year?
That's a while.
Yeah, St. John's River.
Yeah.
He normally that's what made this year so different, because he had a big finish at St. John's, but St. John's is usually pretty tough on him, or one of the first ones. But the cool thing is, if you look at him, if you go back, it's not just the finishes, man. Go look at the gallery and everything.
Yeah.
He started to with a little confidence. You shake in a little confidence with a obviously talented angler that just hadn't had the opportunities, and you start having the confidence not just to catch him, but the confidence to be yourself on the water, on the stage. And man, it really, he is a case study of, there are so many people that try to make it in this sport, and they try to be what they grew up looking at. And I'll be honest, everybody when they start probably is a little bit that way, in every job, just because that's just a natural thing to do. But if you look at guys like Seth Feider, and Takumi Ito is another prime example of guys that literally are being successful, not because he has long hair, not because he has a mustache, sure, that's part of it, but because he is real, and it's something that people connect to. Like the stuff that Takumi Ito says on the stage, he doesn't say things that other people don't think. Like, you don't think that when people take the lead for the first time ever in their Elite Series career, when they first see that, they don't look at the screen and go, wow, I'm number one? The difference is Takumi Ito doesn't stifle it down like all of us do, because it's not cool to do that. He just lets it out there, and people love real people.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a good point. All right, a couple more quick questions, and then we'll let you go, Dave. A lot of people want to know your opinion, your thoughts. Will we see triple digits next week?
I think there's a very, very good opportunity. I mean, I think a lot of times when we've talked about 100-pound limited smallmouth, you're like, yeah, it could happen.
All right.
But, man, Corey and Chris won a tournament this same week. Not last year, the year before, and they weighed 29 one day, 28, and I think it was just a 2-day tournament, but a 29 and a 28, and that's the kind of, realistically, I could see it happening. I mean, everything's got to go right, but I think it could definitely happen.
All right, last question. Do you have anything, Matt? I've got one more.
You got to hurry up, because the town car is running out of gas, guys. The town car.
All right.
You got anything else, Matt?
I'll close it out. I got a couple comments.
No, I got one thing.
Go with it then.
All right. I just want to know, man, did you get a chance to see the McGregor fight, and what are your thoughts real quick?
Listen to the loser that I am. Listen to this. I have seen it. But so here I have this battle, right? Obviously, I'm a huge pugilism fan. I love MMA, and I've always been a big fan of that. So not only the McGregor fight, but that was an incredible card, the whole card. So all day I'm like, do I go to the fight? Do I get, like at a Buffalo Wild Wing or something? Do I watch the fight? And as the day went on, I'm like, I can't do this. I mean, I got to work in the morning, but I'm also like, I can't not do this. So finally, I make a last-minute decision after watching the undercard. I'm like, I'm buying it. I'm doing it. So I buy it online, and I'm responsible. I got to work in the morning, right? So I'm watching it. I swear to God, I fell asleep halfway through the co-main event, and I woke up while they were interviewing McGregor, laying on the ground.
What's going on? What's happening?
Which ironically is the exact. If I had gone to bed at like 9 o'clock, it's the exact same. If then I woke up in the morning and just went on Facebook or whatever, it's the exact same thing I would have seen. But I did see the fight, and I think that Poirier beat him. I mean, I think that McGregor had some moments, but I think Poirier was definitely dominant. The leg break, in my opinion, is good luck for McGregor. If there can ever be good luck from a horrific injury, if it wasn't for that, I think that it would have ended, and there wouldn't be anyone talking about a fourth fight or anything like that. I mean, I just think that you know what? I mean, I totally lost a lot of respect for Conor McGregor too. Like, and I'm a huge McGregor fan, but the crap that he said in the octagon afterwards is, if any other sport said that stuff, and I'm not even talking about the murder stuff, because there's been idiots like Mike Tyson that have said that and whatever. But you're yelling the stuff that he yelled about his wife right after he beat you and you're laying on the ground. Like, it's
Can you imagine? You
kind of gross.
Yeah.
You finished second in a BFL, and you're standing on the side of the stage going, "Your wife liked my Instagram pic."
Oh,
Well, the
banger.
guy.
Jeez. All right.
Oh,
we have
last thing I
characters
got
like that.
is, dude, you're almost 50 or what? Oh, your next episode will be your 15th episode of Mercer, right?
Yeah.
15 episodes in,
Yeah.
so you having fun with
That's
that?
usually when my podcasts start to go downhill.
No, I
right
think
around here,
statistically,
right when
like
people
most
grab a hold
people
of it.
do not make it past 10 episodes. Isn't that right, Mark?
That's true.
Like,
That is true.
statistically, you have outlasted. You are longer than the average podcast lifespan already. So you're winning.
I've done that twice now. That's what I'm saying. Right around 15, 16, the wheels get weak. When we get near 20, and they're usually 21, that's when something will happen.
Wow.
I'm going to quit on me. I'm going to make a podcast to expose me and quit it all at 21.
You just come out with a new one every 15 episodes.
Wow.
Why I quit working with Dave Mercer.
Wow. That would be quite interesting. I'm sure you get some downloads on that one, Dave.
I'm sure.
All right.
I'm sure.
All right. Hey, listen, man. Matt and I both, we greatly appreciate you calling in. I know the fans appreciate
Yeah, that was awesome.
the thoughts that you have on the post-game
Did you
show.
see how
Dude,
he
it rocked.
announced his presence in this investment? Someone said something about Mercer, and Dave got on there and was just like, thanks. And everyone was like, what? Oh.
Vintage.
Well, if you read through the comments, it was actually quite entertaining.
Yeah, I wish I was up there to
that.
share a Labatt's with you this week and get some fried perch. Canadian beer and fried perch. I missed that.
Come on up.
Come on
Well,
up.
I'll
on
be
up.
up in
We're just getting
New York in a
started.
couple weeks, but I'll be all stressed out and very not Schmitt-like.
It's going to be a relaxing week. I'm going to shoot some underwater footage in the river tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Come on up and hang by the river with me, Panger. I miss you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have at it, Matt.
I
There's
always
the
find
invite.
I always find it suspicious when dudes ask you to go hang out by the river with them with a camera.
Oh, jeez. Come on,
Did
Matt.
sound kind of weird, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, all right. I'll hang out by the river myself, okay?
All right.
I'll be the guy in the two that
All right.
shouldn't be wearing a wetsuit but is.
Jeez.
But, hey, so my town car right now, I think it's rolling into Waddington.
Yeah.
Tell your
I
driver
wish I
we
had a
said
town
hi.
car.
Yeah, man. Say
Yeah.
hi to the driver.
Marcel's been quiet. That's my driver's name, I guess.
Very
I don't know.
nice. All
Not
right,
really.
man. Have fun this week coming up.
Always. You guys are awesome. Keep up the good work, guys, and thanks for all the support always.
All right, man.
See
Take
ya.
care, Dave. Thanks, man.
See you guys.
See ya. Dave Mercer.
He would know what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's dead on. 100% dead on Seth Fighter. That's a really good analogy. And I'm really curious as what's going to happen, obviously in a positive manner, after his Angler of the Year on the business side, and how many people are going to seek his presence from a sponsorship standpoint, from an appearance standpoint. It's going to be
Seth
interesting.
Fighter?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. He's not targeting your demographic.
What's my demographic?
You're not the long-haired, smoke a cigarette on air, drop the F-bomb, drink a beer, and act like nothing cares.
That's why
like
I'm
that
saying it's going to be interesting to see how the companies that get involved with him position him both in the industry and outside the industry.
Because he connects with a ton of people.
He does.
But, I mean, you've had conversations before. You're like, dude, Seth Feider, awesome. I got nothing against him, but not my style. Because you're a striped polo shirt, work at UPS, the whole, you know what I mean? Like clean cut.
Yeah. Got nothing against the guy.
Yeah, no, that's what I said.
Show.
It's great.
He's a heck of an angler, and he's had, one of the best Elite Series years that anybody has ever had.
No, absolutely.
And I said, look, there's more to Seth Feider than the mullet and the mustache.
100%. And I was just saying that kind of proves what you were asking is how will he be able to capitalize on this? We're acting like it's happened. I don't see how it doesn't. I don't see how it doesn't happen.
It's going to happen. Jeez. It's not going to be James Buster Douglas.
That's who beat
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah. 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 So, all right. Wow, that was a long phone call. Anybody else want to talk to us? We'll take a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up.
If not, Ryan gets the hat.
I'm going to give away. I got an extra hat. I bought some hats.
Speaking of which, the BTL merchandise store is open.
Yeah.
If you go basszone.com, I was going to mention that at the beginning of the show. Try to hawk some wares. Isn't that what it's called?
There's a lot of people on now. Go ahead, man.
Basso.com, and then just click on the big banner. There's all sorts of new options. If you have kids, you can get a kid shirt.
We have youth sizes now.
If you don't like sun on your neck or lower half of your face, we have a buff. We have multiple designs of t-shirts.
I needed a buff
colors.
yesterday, man.
We have my favorite color 7 shirt and the day 4 shirt. So
I went to a wedding in July that was outdoors during the day with no cover.
Did you wear a suit?
I did not.
What'd you wear? Some jorts?
No. No. Khakis and a button down, man.
I can see you showed up to a wedding in some jean shorts and some New Balances.
No, I have never owned a pair of New Balances and shoes. I've never had
But
New
you
Balance.
have worn jorts.
No.
You've never worn jean shorts?
Oh, yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s.
Recently?
Yeah. No.
You know what? I used to have a pair of cargo jorts. Or jean shorts, but they had the cargo pockets on them.
Now, do you know what jams are? Did you ever hear of jams?
Pajamas?
No. There was a clothing line called Jams. When I was in college, that was the thing. They were like Hawaiian flowered shorts.
I could totally see you wear jorts.
No. All right, does anybody want a hat? Give us a call. We're going to wrap this thing up.
You've been banging the desk a lot today, too.
No.
You've been doing that a lot. Is that just me?
I think that's just you. You break pens, I pound the desk.
I know. You hear me going like this and breaking that. So I've been doing that with that. And then one time I'll push it just a little too far. Yeah, I had the kangaroo Jenkos, Ryan. That little kangaroo with boxing gloves poking up over the back. And they were bell-bottom jeans that the skater kids wore. You would walk. The goal was to be able to walk in them, but you couldn't see the shoes at all, so it would look like you were like hovering over the ground. Or they were really long, and then you'd end up with like 2 foot of jean just destroyed walking behind you as you drug. You wore them with a pair of Doc Martens. And
I had no idea.
And a Tommy Hilfiger shirt.
Oh, jeez.
And that was it, the Jinkos. But my parents never, fortunately, were never, they were thrifty, so they were like, no, we're not going to pay $60 at Hot Topic at the Buckle for a pair of Jinkos so you can look ridiculous because you are our only child, so you're representing the whole family. So they made me get the Lee pipes from Kohl's.
Okay.
Which were not nearly as cool.
Okay, let's go to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
Hey, this is Joe from Kentucky.
Joe, how are you, man? What's on your mind?
Oh, doing all right, my friend. I got a question. Apparently, it's not tournament related, so I apologize. I know this is what it's kind of geared towards.
It's all right.
But It's a question for Panger.
Yes.
I remember way back when you had mentioned something about having Marlon Bates on BTL, and I was curious if that just fell through, or
I sent him an Instagram message, and then I never really followed up on it.
Okay,
I need to do it because he is one of the only guys that I pretty much, as soon as a video comes out that he has, I watch it. And I like his style. He just seems like a dude who would be fun to interview. Like, you ever come across those people, you're like, I like that dude, even though you don't know him?
Oh, yeah.
That's who Marlon Bates is to me. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, he does some good stuff, too. I'll also say, too, I don't know whether you've seen his stuff. Have you ever, and he uses his channel as it's a bit of play on words. Have you watched any of World's Worst Fishing?
I feel like I follow. Is that out of Oklahoma?
I don't know where he's. No. Oh, he is out of Florida, if I'm not mistaken. But he does
Is
more.
it YouTube?
Of course, Marlon. Yes, YouTube. Yes.
Okay, I'll look it up. I'll follow it now.
Was that Uncle?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Uncle Steve.
He does a lot of more of the hand poured stuff, injection. He's working into getting some mold designs and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've seen this before. He's the plastic guy mainly.
Yeah, exactly.
He does
he's a good one, too.
Yeah, okay. I've watched a bunch of these. These are cool, yeah. I need to subscribe to that one.
But, yeah, Marlon Bates and the World's Worst Fishing guy, if, get
that'd be good for the
bored,
24-hour show.
Yeah, 100%.
To do a cool YouTube channel segment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be a good one.
Make it happen. Let's do it. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that, and I just figured I would bring it back up since I hadn't heard from it. So, anyway, that's all. Apologize, it's not tournament related, but
no, it's all good.
Figured I'd bring it up. So, good show. Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. Take care. See ya.
Bye.
Chris Birch on the incident feedback. Yes, so Chris sent me a very highly educated email. Probably right after we did the where I went on the Lake Champlain rant when we had Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah.
And I read it while I was in the. I probably shouldn't admit that. I read it during a time when I was not available to actually reply right then.
There you go. Good way of putting it.
I need to get back with you on that one though. He had about 6 points as to why.
Okay.
What it is with all the tournaments, why the fishery's going to be fine.
Okay.
You can handle it.
All right, back to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
This is Everett in North Little Rock.
Everett, what's on your mind, man?
Well, I had to call in. The hat was still there, and I was like, "Wow!" I've been wanting one so bad.
All right.
If it's still available.
Well, we're gonna pick from the plethora of callers that we've had.
Fantastic.
Right now, you got a 33% chance, Everett.
And Dave Mercer is not eligible.
The longer Jeffries decides to go, the lower your chance gets.
Well, one thing on a serious note with Seth, there's a view in my fish brain here of him sitting out in front of a motel, one of those motels you'd never stay at, but you see him out in front of it in one of those plastic chairs with a Marlboro, and you can tell that catching 25 pounds a day is no problem for that guy right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's kicking
He got
some
a
butt.
cold one in his hand, and it's about 7:30 in the morning, and he missed his ride. But that's Seth. He's awesome.
Yep.
He is awesome.
Yep.
He's the man.
All right, man. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see ya.
Oh, yeah, I want to get your... You don't know this one's... Did you just turn... Oh, you don't know
sorry.
this one's coming. I want to get your thoughts on this. Are we... We got to be careful. We're running a couple other live streams here that started at 8:30 mark. But...
Sorry. Didn't know.
It's all good. But what'd you think of Ike? You got...
Oh, you heard about it?
No, it posted about it.
Yeah.
With the Troop... Kyle Troop.
Kyle Troop.
Now, didn't you say his dad was like... Old,
Guppy Troop.
Was like a legend
in
his day?
He was very flamboyant, very... he had the wild outfits that Kyle Troop's mom made for him.
I feel like you've got Chris Prather, and then Ike has Kyle Troop. I feel like they should become rivals now.
Well, on the lanes, they are.
Oh, they really are?
Oh, yeah.
Like they don't like each other.
No, I didn't say that. On the lanes, there is.
Have they ever been in like a TV final together?
Oh, yeah.
Can
Several
we
times.
do a show during a TV final where you and Ike are live together watching it, and he's rooting for Troop and you're rooting
That
for
would be
Prather?
cool. That would be really cool. If that happens and the summer swing is getting ready to take place, so if
Where
Troop,
you guys can go watch
Troop
him?
and Prather. Well, no, what we can do is he can pull into the video stream, and then I could pull in the stream.
Yeah.
And then we could actually...
You could have a watch party.
Yeah.
With Ike and you rooting for your your bowlers.
I didn't know that he was going striper fishing with Kyle
Do you think
Troop.
Prather would trash talk? You think he'd be like, "Where's your Strike King logo?"
No, man.
Troop.
He's like Clark Kent. That's his nickname.
He's the Van Damme.
He's
courteous.
Clark Kent, man. Yeah.
Really? I kind of get that vibe.
Yeah, he's very Clark Kent. All right, back to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
This is Ray from Ohio.
Ray, how are you, man? What's on your mind?
I was just wondering if Matt ever did catch that groundhog.
No, the snake scared me off enough, and then
When were you trying to get a groundhog?
in Virginia, and then because
Oh, yeah.
because Andrew Upshaw and Brad Hallman are YouTube stars, they decided to put me catching the groundhog in.
I remember that now.
And I mean, that was a. If there's ever been a sketchy woodpile,
It looked really sketchy.
that was the definition of a sketchy woodpile.
Yeah.
And I mean, Seth Feider would have probably dove in after it, but me, I'm sitting there thinking of 10 things that could bite, stick, or get me, and I don't want to end up as the guy on the IR because I was trying to catch a groundhog.
Yeah. Anything else, man?
That'll do me.
All right, man. Take care. See ya.
Bye now.
Yeah, that was a wise move on your part to give up on the groundhog.
Yeah.
No need for that. All right, this week, folks, here's what we're going to do. No show tomorrow because we went, 2.5 hours today? We'll have the replay out there. Then we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. We'll have, trying to think who I got lined up. Obviously, Frank on Thursday. Wednesday, we will have 2 guests. I know one of those guests are going to be Michael from Bass Boat Marketplace.
Cool.
To where we can talk about an opportunity for you guys to sell your boats live right here on BTL. And to also, if you're in the market to buy a boat, you need to check out what they have going on at Bass Boat Marketplace. And then Tuesday, I'm still working on Tuesday's show because it's kind of crazy with what's going on at the SLR. And then
You got to get.
else.
Oh, you can't do that. You have to schedule Keith in advance so you guys can have your little
Who's that?
sexy dog Zara
Oh.
Spook Vixen Love Fest.
I told you after the SLR. That's
So Corey Johnson was on live getting interviewed. You're not
What?
going to believe what he said could be a player.
Carolina Rip.
Yep. And he said it like with a straight face. I know Rick Morris had a really good tournament a couple years back, slinging the Sea Rig.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, won't be with him this time. But
It is what it is.
did they ever say how many drop? 10 guys? Was it 10 guys that drop? 2-year average? The lowest 10 guys with their 2-year average?
I don't know what the number
And how do the
is.
exemptions work?
I'm sure we're going to hear that out. Because some people are probably going to have to take Legends exemption, maybe.
So here's the other thing. If we're going to talk about cool things like Marling Baits, and we're not doing a show tomorrow, you got
Yeah.
anywhere to be?
Tomorrow?
Tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah, like right now. I don't know whether
I got to
you
get the replay
and, you and
out.
Carolyn go have a Sunday night nightcap down at like Jim's Dive Bar or something.
What is that? The neighborhood.
Okay. If you listen to this show, you appreciate bass fishing. You're not like bobber fishing with no clue about the bass fishing if you're listening to Bass Talk Live. Would you agree?
Yeah.
It's hard to stumble onto the show. So you have a little bit of appreciation for it. There
Yeah.
is an Instagram account, and we're going to have this gentleman on the show once we start the next podcast in the next week or so.
Like after the SLR?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you have your phones, you need to follow this account because I went down a wormhole on it.
What'd you find?
Hold on. Oh, I just did the old man thing with my phone where I pulled it away and then looked through the bottom of my eyes. That's the first time that's ever happened.
You're getting up there, man.
Oh, my gosh, Mark.
Here, you need to borrow these?
Do you think I'll see better? I don't even want to know.
Put them on and see if it looks better.
I don't want to know if I'll see better. I'm scared to.
It happens. Does it look better?
I don't even want to look.
Maybe not be your style, but Zono was wearing the glasses today.
That's why you do this.
Does it look better?
Oh, this is trippy.
Anyway, let me have my glasses back. I'll get you a pair. I buy them in packs of 6.
I can't tell because you get angry and break them.
No, they just break.
It's chuck them during practice.
Did it work? Was it better? No?
No, it was randomly.
All right, you'll get there someday.
All right, Bass Fishing Archives, no spaces. We're going to get Terry Battisti on.
Nice.
You need to follow that account,
that's
guys.
Cool stuff.
It is quality. There is endless information. The guy has 270 followers, and he's putting out literally probably the best bass fishing related content on Instagram. It's not like videos and stuff like that, but like he posted the original rules for one of Ray Scott's the first year of Bassmasters.
It's in that book
that they printed on the inside cover of Bassmaster magazine.
That book that I have has that in there.
Anyway, I saved it because it reminded me of the rule show that we're going to work on of obscure rules. But it is Bass Fishing Archives that Terry Battisti runs. It's now kind of working in coordination with the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. And
that's cool.
I feel really bad though about that. They had a conference call on Tuesday and I forgot it.
And you're on the board?
Yeah. Like I no-showed the conference call. I've never done that in my life. Like I make a lot of horrible life decisions.
Oh,
and here's the worst part about it. I didn't even realize I missed it until Thursday. And I'm literally just randomly walking around the house and went, "Oh no."
Nobody reached out to you?
No,
hey, Matt,
they sent like a reminder the week before and that was it. No, so now I feel really bad about that. Have you ever missed it? Have you ever missed a call or something like that? And
probably, but how many years do I have in the corporate world?
Yeah, well, I've been on it for like 6 months.
I probably did. I don't remember.
Anyway, follow Bass Fishing Archives. It's one of those wormhole deals. There's only 108 posts, but like the thing he just posted was
the Rick Clunn photos were amazing. Did you see those?
Do you follow this?
Huh? Yeah, I see. I don't follow it, but
it's phenomenal.
I've seen some of the stuff that.
Oh, this was it. So this is an article. This is an article from the in the July-August 1975 issue of Bassmaster magazine. Yeah. What have we talked about ad nauseum for the last year and a half? And guys,
a lot of stuff.
What's the one topic? Forward-facing sonar.
Yeah.
And everybody's all.
What year was it?
Okay, so this is 1975, July, August. You know what's gonna ruin the sport now?
Papergraph?
This is the title. Graph recorders. Do they give the anglers an unfair advantage?
There you have it.
You literally could just put forward-facing sonar in here and it'd be the exact same.
You could.
Should chart recorders be outlawed? You can see fish on the charts, but that doesn't mean they'll strike, says Ricky Green.
Have you ever seen a papergraph? Have you ever seen a papergraph in
when
use?
I went and visited Vexlar. They had the papergraphs there.
Really?
Yeah. I was pumped about it. Now this, oh my gosh, this is a papergraph. Look.
What?
There's the paper coming out the side of the graph.
Yeah.
Wait, and they're saying that gives them an unfair advantage? You can see fish on the charts, but it doesn't mean they'll strike, says Ricky Green.
Still got to catch them, man.
Should chart recorders be outlawed?
Still got to catch them. That was back in the triangulation days.
I'm on one tonight. We need to edit this. Started as the Elite Series post-game show.
We're all over the place, but that's why we're not doing a show tomorrow, because this show went, how long? Almost 2 hours?
Yeah, but follow Bass Fishing Archives. Anyone else you want to plug, talk to? Go buy a shirt, a hat, follow Bass Fishing Archives. Hey, we got to give this away.
Yeah, which person gets the hat?
Here, we'll do it the right way. Okay, the second caller was his name Chris because I was reading a comment from Chris.
I don't know.
And then he said...
I don't remember.
From Kentucky, you wanted Marlon Bates on. I don't know if I subliminally thought his name was Chris because I was reading a comment from Chris. Right
Say Chris from Kentucky.
I hope so. Okay. Random number generator.
Between 1 and what?
4. Because we took
Mercer's out. We'll get him taken care of.
Generate a number between 1 and 4. And I just labeled them 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Generate number.
The number is
4. Ray, your question about a groundhog just won you a BTL hat.
There you have it. Send me an email, mark@bassone.com, with your address, your ship to address. I will get that in the mail to you this week.
How many people do you think know, I see what Ben's saying, know what the story is still behind my favorite color is 7 shirt? Because I've had a couple people be like, what is that? But I also think it'll be one of the best sellers.
I agree. But
truncated version.
I think
truncated
most people
version.
Don't know. It was my first show.
Back from traumatic brain injury after we didn't know if there'd ever be a BTL.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey said opens the show. Can we hear it? What show is that? We should be able to find it so we can play the clip.
We'll play the clip on Tuesday. But go ahead.
Can you find that?
Yeah, I can find it.
And Jeffries opened it, and he sounded like Jeffries, and he acted like Jeffries, and his brain was still there. And I said, good. I was afraid you'd come back and be like, my favorite color is 7. And then we'd have to figure out where BTL goes from there.
Yeah, it was
with that kind of
stuff.
Was
epic. It was epic, and buy the shirt. The shirt's very, very cool. They did a great job with all the merch that is on the store. So thank you so much for all the people on the instant feedback and on the comments. Special thanks to the man that got it done, Bryan Schmitt, for being on the show. We did not get Keith Combs on the show. We will have him on the week, either the week or 2 weeks.
So there's my random number generator, right?
Yeah.
randomnumbergenerator.com.
Yeah.
How do they know to put an AFCO ad above on the random number generator site?
It's what is that called?
Government listening?
No. It's the... Jeez, Matt. Now my favorite color really is 7. What is that called? It's not analytics. It's
but
not meta tags.
But
it's
like AFCO isn't like paying random
algorithms. That's what it is.
AFCO isn't paying randomnumbergenerator.com to advertise.
No, it's based upon what you look at.
Yeah, but how
that gets generated.
So how does that end up? Who does AFCO pay to end up in the algorithm?
Google. Ad choice.
And then Ad Choice has billions of websites.
Well, Google does.
Google has billions of websites that are all open for, and one of them is random number generator.
Based upon what you are viewing in your browsing habits on the interweb.
Guess a number between 1 and 500. And if you get it right, I'll bring in the new Big Bite Baits.
322.
Ooh, it was 210. You lose.
Oh, I lose. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining the post-game show. I like doing these evening shows every now and then. Yeah, it's good stuff, and it makes it even better when you have people like Dave Mercer and the winner take part in the show, especially during a back-to-back event. So
big thanks to Kurt Dove, Dave Mercer, Bryan Schmitt.
Yeah, and you for making the trip down here on a Sunday night.
It's all good.
Good
I'll
stuff.
See you Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll be back Tuesday at our normal time, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Uncle Frank is working on some stuff, dude. He's been very, very busy.
When's he going to start doing the calls? The locker room.
The locker room is going to kick off either at the end of July or August. In fact, he sent me the schedule today on I've got to get on the phone, call people.
Uncle Frank's going to be like a telephone operator.
No, man. He's the coach in the locker room.
You should have done pay by the minute. That would have really added some zest to it.
It's not a calling card for crying out. It's not 1990. Jeez. All right, everybody. Have a very, very safe remainder of your Sunday evening. Matt and I back on Tuesday. That's it. We're out of here.